And there we are. Hi to hello, everybody. Hi to hello, Jamie.
I have something in my eye.
Well, that's embarrassing.
I know. It's like all of a sudden happened.
Okay. That kind of put me on the spot. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Something in your eye.
Okay.
You need
it's
to
gonna
go
be
get
fine.
it out?
Nope. It's gonna be fine.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hi to hello. How you guys doing?
Afternoon. It's practically midnight. Seriously.
It feels like midnight. I am one who does not like the entire time change. Because even though it's 8 o'clock for us, it feels like 9 o'clock.
No, it feels like midnight. Let's be real here. Like both of us said today, should we push it back? Should we push it back? And I was like, no, with the Lex stuff, we should keep it exactly the same. And both of us were getting ready. We're both like, I hope we can stay awake to make it here.
Yeah. I says, Jamie, do I look as tired as I feel? And she goes, no. And I know she lies to me. She lies to me.
I do not lie to him.
You do.
You look
lied
handsome.
to me. Okay.
The hat helps. I just saw the Demons are here. Hey, Steve. Hey, buddy.
Oh, my God.
No pressure.
No, talking about the Demons. Buddy had this outfit on yesterday when I was over at Mom and Dad's. And he looked like Macho Man Randy Savage. And then I didn't know. I thought he was just like wearing this. I didn't know that there was a reason behind the.
Oh, you just thought he was wearing it.
I was like, I didn't want to say anything to his face, but I'm thinking that's not really Bud's look. And if lo and behold, I didn't get the boys loaded in the truck, I'm going in the driveway, and here comes Stephanie on a tractor. And I'm like, what is she wearing? She gets off the tractor, and I'm thinking, what is I didn't. She's over there working on some kind of component in the back, and I stopped to offer to help, but I could not look at her. I was trying not to look at her, and I was trying to keep my eye. You know how girls like keep eyes here, and I'm thinking, I'm like staring at her. Don't look down. Don't look down. I'm like, what is she wearing? Then I found out later that they had some kind of a challenge, a date night challenge, where they had to go on a date wearing an outfit that they picked out for each other
at Goodwill.
At Goodwill. Yes, purposely trying to embarrass each other, and they did it. So some really cute videos and photo shoots,
like top notch, most amazing. Like I saw their picture on Facebook or whatever, and neither one of them looked excited at all.
Oh,
like
who could be excited about that? I don't know how she. Listen, I think that I'm pretty outgoing and kind of extroverted. I didn't know that Stephanie could actually go into a bowling alley looking like that.
Oh my God, I would have loved to have been a pea patter in that circumstance. Like that would have been, and then they did a photo shoot, which was, oh my God. Have you seen the movie Masterminds?
No, I saw the photo shoot though, and I couldn't hardly keep my eyes from tearing up as I was driving. It was the most funny thing. If y'all have not seen what we're talking about, the Demon Homestead, I stuck their comment right there. That's the name of their channels on Facebook and YouTube.
Absolutely go watch it. If you need a laugh.
Not now. Wait till we're done here. Wait till we're done. It'll be there.
So the movie Masterminds, they do a photo shoot, and it's like cringeworthy. And their Buddy and Steph were dressed very similarly to the movie. I don't think it was by design. It was just
it's
by
called
happenstance.
Mastermind.
Yeah, Masterminds. It's got Zach. I can't say his last name.
I have no idea.
Anyway,
I have no idea.
Great movie. Honestly, great movie. Funny, but also like some adventure in it as well. But they killed.
Thank you,
the photo
Daryl.
shoot.
Daryl really likes my hat. I don't even know what you call this thing, Daryl. But just everyone needs to know that there is a reason behind this. It's not that Lester has this new style. I've been named. Well, I'm just an English landowner now, so I hold a title is all. It's a long story. But thank you, Daryl. I appreciate that. And listen, we have a lot to get to, and I see a lot of people asking questions, and I know you are dying to hear all the scoop. And we have a lot to talk about. It's a cap, not a hat. It's a cap, okay? But we have a lot to talk about. But let's have a little bit of a chance to kind of like have a little icebreaker, a nice friendly conversation first, and then we'll get into the interrogation part of the live, please. Hey everybody, nice to see both Facebook and the YouTube channels are here. Wonderful, thank you. Yes, so the official name is Lord Lester of Cotterpen, father of all Longhorns. Thank you, Jamie. Just go ahead and go with it. Anywho's. Thank God all of our English friends are already in bed by now.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with just Jamie. Okay, I'm gonna roll with that, and you can have as many titles and names and dress up events that you want to. It's fine. It's fine.
Dress up events, huh?
Oh, I forgot. This is serious. You are a landowner.
I own
and you have a certificate.
Oh, I think it's a 1 foot by 1 foot plot in Wessex, somewhere in Wessex, England.
I actually asked if you wanted to go there and live there because you could fulfill so many things. What?
I didn't think that we were going to talk about those things, Jamie. I thought some things should stay between partners. Don't think so?
Hold on.
Some things should stay between partners. We're kidding, y'all. We're kidding. Anywho's, yes. So there is a new arrival, and we will get there. But let's first talk about Lenny, because Lenny has a broken leg. You all know. He went to the vet with me on Tuesday, where we did X-rays and discovered that he did have a broken leg. And for everyone who wonders how that could happen, Jamie and I will demonstrate. I'm a goat, and we're clacking horns. Clack, clack, clack. And somewhere in all of that, rear up, like a clock. And when we come down, her leg got stuck between my horns. So as a billy goat, I'm just mean. I'm just mean. So I start doing this.
That really did pop my elbow.
Oh, are you okay?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. But
it
listen,
scared me. I was like, it doesn't go that way.
Guys, as brutal as it sounds, we've seen it 100 times. And so goats do that. They clack horns on a regular basis, and we're pretty sure that's how it happened. Lenny doesn't have stuff to jump on. He didn't fall off of anything, but they do clack horns. He and Ringo and Brady, even the female goats will sometimes clack horns.
Oh, it was
with
him and
the billy
Shirley
goats
a few weeks ago, if you remember.
Yeah, they do. And so that's more than likely what happened. And the vet has said that's where goats have their breaks at.
Yeah.
So the only worry with Lenny is because he's so heavy. He's 150 pounds. And so that's a little bit of concern, but they did cast it up. We take him back in on Wednesday of this week, and they will check to make sure everything is mending back together.
Yeah.
So Dr. Cochran is wonderful.
Yeah. So they'll check his cast. They may recast it, depending upon how tight or loose it is, if the swelling's gone down, and then re-x-ray to make sure it's healing appropriately and that there's nothing new going on around that. But I'll be honest, it's not hindering him.
No, not at all.
Like he's resting and he's in the alpaca pasture, but he gets up to eat the ostrich food like it's his job, and he gets around. He's really enjoying their salt lick, which has made me add that salt lick to Lester's shopping list for the regular goats.
Well, we have the Himalayan salt that comes on a string that we hang on the goat fence. That's what they normally go for, but for some reason Lenny is all over their salt lick, which is a different kind of lick.
Yeah, so that's the one that A&M told us to buy for Ernie.
For Ernie.
They were like, this specific brand, this one. So it's just salt. There's no extra minerals in it. So we are going to switch that up and get that for the rest of the goats and see if they like it too. Because if you want to know where Lenny is, it's either getting ostrich food or licking that salt lick or laying down. There's nothing else that Lenny wants to do. He habitually goes back and forth to that salt lick, which is interesting.
But no, it's wonderful that he's with the alpaca because he's able to kind of like, well, we're joking and calling it our infirmary ward. So he's able to heal, and he's not having to clack horns. He doesn't have to fight for food. They don't really fight anyway, y'all, but they sometimes will.
Yeah.
You know how goats are. But no, he doesn't have to compete for food. Food is taken to him. Hank?
That was Trixie.
Trixie? That was not me or Jamie, y'all. That was not Jamie or I. But no, Lenny's going to be fine. Yeah. And we hope that his leg will heal, because the only other option, if it doesn't, is probably a surgery. But everyone knows, if you know goats, that they do not do well with anesthesia. We've lost goats under anesthesia. And Meg being the most popular goat that we lost under anesthesia. So every vet will tell you that they do not want to have to put a goat under if they don't have to. And so we're going to really keep our fingers crossed that when we go on Wednesday, everything looks to be healing up fine, and that Lenny will probably get a touch-up cast, cleaned up a little bit. And something that the vet said was she was concerned with a cast when it gets dirty underneath. if you're not careful, can lead to skin infections. And so we have to also be careful of that. So she'll probably take the cast off, make sure everything looks good, re-x-ray.
The good news is Lenny rides really well in the truck.
Lenny likes to be in the truck, y'all. Don't forget, he was a bottle baby. And I tell you what, I really love bottle babies. You don't realize how much you love a bottle baby until you have to do something with the vet.
Yeah.
Or some kind of if you have to treat them yourself or something, they're always going to see you as mommy or daddy. And even though I know a lot of folks love to see, an animal with this actual mom, and I get that,
and we do too. Don't think that we don't. Trust me, I like current state. I didn't anticipate having bottle babies. But whenever one is bigger and needs help or has something wrong, it sure does make life easier.
It sure does. But thank you all for asking and saying your prayers for Lenny. We love him, and he's a big part of our goat family here. So we hate that he's down, but hopefully he won't be down for long. He'll be back. And like Jamie said, he's doing things that goats do, even though he shouldn't be. He's out and about and climbing up on fences, trying to get the ostrich food and other stuff. But no, we do have some pasture changes that we've done for temporary. We did put Carl and Debbie in the large square paddock in the corner, if you know where I'm talking about, in the middle. And then we have our Tina, who's kind of ill, and she doesn't do well in the wintertime. Everyone knows Tina has her arthritis in the knee that will sometimes swell up into a big ball in colder temperatures. And so she does not need to be up and down the hills and doing all of the things. She prefers to be inside.
She's honestly very content in a pasture like that and she's fine with seeing other birds. She has no desire to go out with them. So she is also in the infirmary.
No, we try to read her, and she does. She stands in the corner and watches us. She just likes to watch us all day. And Jamie's out and about a lot with her garden and, doing stuff around. And Tina just loves to watch her. Yeah. And I don't know.
And her kale is almost ready to eat. So she's going to be really excited.
I know it, right? So Tina, Lenny, and of course, Ernie are all three in there, hopefully healing and getting back on the mend. And they're going to be there for a while. Lenny for probably 6 weeks. Tina for the entirety of the winter for sure.
Yeah.
And then Ernie, I think that we're going to probably just keep our alpaca in that paddock for forever.
Yeah.
Because they do fine in there.
Yeah. They're very pleased. They know their routine, their space. Like they never really were ones to go out with the other littles anyway.
You didn't see them in the pasture very often at all. And then if you're concerned about exercise, don't worry. We put the little goats out every day. We take what's their name? Sawyer and Pollyanna. And after their morning baba, we take them out to the goat, to the alpaca pasture, the paddock. And that little munchkin out there, Oopsie Daisy, she runs and chases them goats around and around and around. And her mom's like worried about her the way,
but it's adorable because she'll give her like the over the shoulder look and then go back to eating. And then when things get a little bit crazy, you can see Annie perk up like, no, you're going too far now. And then things will start to calm down. But my hope is that the goats start to love that space a whole lot more because
we need them to. Yeah. Today we lost our internet, guys. I'm guilty. Listen, I'm just going to say it. The goats, I let the babies out and I was sitting there having my coffee, watching Jamie work. That sounds horrible. I'm having my coffee, watching Jamie mess around with her horses. And I'm over there and I wasn't paying attention. Goats are running all around, having a wonderful time. And all of a sudden I'm like, Jamie, something's wrong with the internet. And she's like, you might have to reset it. And I look over and sure enough, if Sawyer is not sitting there going, he has that internet wire in his mouth and he'd shoot it right in half. So Jamie gets on the phone. Well, here comes Lex. Here comes Connor. Hey, our Xbox is not working. What's wrong with the Xbox? I'm like, it's not just your Xbox. I can't make my phone work neither. And guys, you don't realize
it was a total like dad move. Okay. So you know how when moms watch the baby, you're like watching every move, making sure they don't put anything in their mouth, and you're like steering and just your eyes on, right? Well, dad letting the goats out or the kids out is like, yeah, they'll be fine. Nobody's screaming, nobody's bleeding. It'll be fine. No, they're eating the wires to the internet that connect us to life, because we have no cell signal here whatsoever. So we rely very heavily on the internet.
Yeah, well, we're very blessed that Jamie got on the phone and she called the internet place and she goes, "Hey, we run a business from here." And I don't know.
I had to sell my soul a little bit and maybe fake cry.
But an hour later, a fella shows up and in no time he got us back on. So we have to keep those little goats put away. We have to. And
we do.
Okay. We're going to keep those little goats put away unless we are really going to watch them every move. And we can't bury those wires in conduit because it's over the concrete. It's where the internet comes inside the shop where we have a router. So it's a long story, but if we could hide it, I promise we would. Anywho, okay, so that's every animal we need to talk about as far as what's going on with all the babies, correct? There's no one else who we're concerned about or nervous about.
No.
Now it's about time to talk about some horses. Okay, now I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm about to stop and give it all over to you.
It's okay, talk away.
Last Sunday on our Sunday night sanctuary video, how we do every Sunday, I spilled the beans and
shocker.
I mentioned something that we should have probably kept low key until we knew it was official. And you all know by now that we had a lady reach out to us. She follows the channel, so she emails Jamie mostly a lot. And she let Jamie know that she has a horse. Well, she sent 100 pictures over time. But she had a horse that has gone through 2 hurricanes. Both hurricanes hit her part of Florida. Now, what's that place called? Her area.
Like right around Tampa area,
okay.
I think.
There was a name, but I forgot it.
Yeah.
Bottom line is she was unable to, I don't know if it was her resources or money. I have no idea. Well, you can go ahead.
Okay. So first, I'm going to back up on the whole why. This lady reached out to us and
Ocala.
That's not where she was at, though.
That's where the driver brought her from.
So the lady and her family had been through 2 hurricanes, and they had home issues, pasture issues. They have 2 little kids, and the ways that they had to be able to put efforts in to recover were extensive, essentially, and a whole lot of inconveniences. I'll say no one was physically harmed. Everything's okay in that space, but the horse was not living her best life, and and she felt guilty about that. She was basically living in a backyard, like tiny backyard, like size.
Yeah, she was living it. So everyone who knows how people in the city have cute little fenced in backyards with like little picket fencing. They call it pickets, right?
Yeah.
Like wood pickets. And that's where she had to move her horse into because her pastures.
That was where it was safe for her to be. However, it was like a stall, like a double-sized stall. And
it was muddy and there was horse poop everywhere. When you can't control that. And there was nothing for the baby to graze on.
And it was just, it was going to be a much longer process for her. And she had to worry about her human family first. So she asked if we would take this horse on. And Lester spilling the beans is not my style, because I don't like to get everyone's hopes up until things actually happen. So I didn't talk about it from that moment forward because this is someone's decision, and it may not happen. And there were a lot of things that had to fall into place to make this happen. So I basically did not count my chickens before the eggs hatched. And I really wanted to when she got here, then it was time to be able to talk about it. But so many variations and so many things could happen between now and then. And they did, if you want to know the truth. Even whenever we finally agreed that it was going to happen, and we found the driver, or the hauler, it's called, we had to be able to get all of the health things done first, and then the health things didn't come back in time. So we actually had to find another hauler for the following day. That hauler, all reputable, all following all the state guidelines. Florida's very, very horse like specific and you must have health exams and Coggins and records, and they have to have special tags of identifiers and plans to stops and logs, and like this is like a really big deal. So we get to the hauler picks the horse up and hauls it to the first stop point, and that hauler works in ways of like each point is a leg that they switch, so they stop and wait for the next, like it's like playing chess, as I understand. Well, that driver quit an hour before, so we had to wait a whole other day for her to get, like, it was just one thing after another. So I didn't talk about anything, and that apparently infuriated people. People are so mad. Where did this come from? Why didn't you tell us? Well, and just like going off the handle about.
You touched on it already, but you guys probably don't know how many people have reached out for this or for that, and they think either they're just lying because they just want to have a conversation with us. I don't know, or they can't. When it comes right down to it, they can't let an animal go. And so when we got Voodoo, don't forget that Voodoo's owner had a driver drive him to us.
Yeah, and she followed him.
And then when we got Stormy's owner, well, the owner passed, but the lady drove him to us.
Yeah, drove her to us.
And so when you have an animal like that you have an attachment to, you don't always know if it's real or not. So by me saying that on Sunday, it was probably me just being excited and jumping the gun. But Jamie was a lot more resilient reluctant to talk about it. And so it finally did come to fruition, but it was a lot of planning and a lot of work.
It was a lot of stress, to be honest with you. Like I was nervous. Like we have always been advocates for animals and that long journey and that long drive and being fearful of that and thinking of their best interest. And had I not spoken to the haulers myself and understood what that meant, it's never straight through. They do frequent stops. The horse has to be able to unload and reload, because all I could think about is our horses aren't good at loading. So what if that horse will not get back on the trail? Like all the things. But I was assured that she was capable, and understood that they have layovers, that they get out, they stretch their legs, they have food and water the whole trip. Like the trailers are like stalls on wheels. Like this is a thing that happens all across the country every single week. And it also wasn't just for my horse. There were other horses that all on this trip. So once I understood that, I got more comfortable around it. And then the lady, was very serious, and we got through all the health exam stuff. And, it's still in this moment today is still very surreal, to be honest with you. And she's been here now just over 24 hours, and a ton has happened. And I recorded a lot, but I also spent a lot of time just being present with her in the way that I did when Storm was first here and when Rita was first here. And I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't when Voodoo was first here, because I don't think that I knew nearly as much about how important that was during that time. And while I've loved every animal that we've ever gotten, I at that point in time didn't know how much I loved horses, I guess. So I feel guilty about that, but I've made up with Voodoo over time. You're like sitting on your hands here. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. We a lot of what we had to do this week involved farm management, and we don't ask permission from folks when we do that. We are the ones who live here, and we sometimes have to just make executive decisions and do what we think is best based on what we see on a 24-hour day, not a 10-minute video that you guys are able to follow along with. And so we've made some moves. Sometimes we make a move and have to go back to the drawing board and reassess what we've done. But we try to do what's best for the animal's best interest in all situations. And so we've done a lot of things without telling everybody why we're doing it or how we're doing it. But I do think that as of right now, everyone's fine for the time being.
Yeah.
So
it's been a whirlwind, and you don't know what a new animal will do to your environment.
Well, the chemistry,
yeah.
anytime you introduce a new animal of any species, it's going to disrupt the existing chemistry, that the hierarchy, if you will, the pecking order of what's already in place. And so when you already have things established, you have to think long and hard about if you're willing to do that.
Because it is a disruption, no matter what.
No
matter
what.
how good things may turn out in a week or two, it is a disruption and it is stressful to go through. And you, like today, I don't want to tell all the stories, but there were these little moments today that Lester and I were sitting here and watching. Like we actually got up extremely early to be able to watch things unfold and just see how the demeanors were. And we saw moments today that were so special and so tiny in time that like it just warmed our hearts and really showed us that everything is probably going to be okay as is, because you go through all these like second guesses of like, did we make a bad decision? Is this too much? And then it's raining here for the first time in like 3 months, and everything's sloppy the moment that she gets here too, and like just all kinds of things are just happening. The world continues to go on, but I think it's gonna work out really well. The video of her arrival comes out tomorrow morning on my YouTube channel, and then it'll play later on Facebook as well. And you'll see lots of things about her. I know that Lester shared a clip of her today, so you can see a glimpse of her. And of course, I posted pictures last night. But y'all, she has this old soul feeling, and she has this calm about her and this demeanor of like slightly confident, but also very cautious and aware that she's the new person. And it's going to be really awesome. And for everyone asking about Rita, she did meet Rita, and that is not in tomorrow's video. That'll be on a later one. But Rita interacting from across the driveway is actually the very best case scenario. And she is able to not be in the mix of it and have to fight for any attention or any of those things, but is able to participate still because they go up and down the driveway like they always do every day. And it's been a really awesome thing to watch horses be horses, basically.
She already came with a name, so we don't rename an animal whenever we bring one in from a surrender or a rescue. If it already has a name, then we stick to that name. And so her name is Prim. So it's a cute name, and it fits her very well for like prim and proper. I don't really know. We don't
know. She came with the name Prim. So Prim and proper or Primrose. Some people were messaging about. I'm like, I have no idea. Just Prim. I call it Prim Girl.
The driver, who was very knowledgeable about horses, who is from the Ocala, I think I said that right, area, talked a lot about, well, he gave us a wonderful compliment.
He did.
About he just thought that the property here was just beautiful. And I felt good to know we've put a lot of work into this place. And it just feels good to know that people who are from that part of Florida, where they're known for their just beautiful horse properties, that he really thought this place was gorgeous.
And he does this every week. He hauls horses all over the country every week. They mostly do Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida. Like they make that path, but he's been all over, and it was really neat to receive a compliment from somebody who's seen probably the most elite of places.
He described places that he works and picks up horses from. But I think we should, now that's where I will go in with you on a trip to look at and visit Ocala, Florida. But listen, that's not what we're talking about. What we're saying is he talked about how wonderful and well-behaved she was.
Yeah.
Because like Jamie said, along the way, they don't drive straight through the 18 hours or whatever. They stop 3 places and let those horses out. He has to sleep. The horses have a chance to graze. And we have really neat pictures that he took for us showing their journey from there to here. And every time they stopped to unload, of all the horses he was hauling, he said she was the best. Yeah. He wouldn't have a reason to lie. But he said she was wonderful.
He just said he even sent a follow-up text. He said, "Thank you all so much for, being so kind. But I just want you to know that you have a really wonderful horse there. She really stands out." And I was like, That's awesome.
Yeah. I think we should probably do a DNA, but I'm sure that she has some, what you call the draft horse or whatever in her.
She's got some big old feet and a big old head.
Big girl. But I don't think that she's pregnant. I don't think, of people who keep saying she looks pregnant, I don't think so. But I will say that she wasn't able to graze. So she's just been grain fed. She's been a grain fed horse, and grain, like all sugary things, can make all of us have a little belly.
Not to mention, so hauling
Not that I know. How would I know?
But hauling also causes a lot of swelling. And yes, so all of us, when we ride or stand still for a long time, retain a lot of water. So that's actually one of the points when I was talking to Courtney. I was like, tell me what to do when she gets here, both about separate, all these things. She's told me I had to put salt in her food, because you want to put enough salt in there that it makes her thirsty enough to drink, because she's going to be nervous and everything anyway, but you do not want to keep her dehydrated. So just offer her water in every place you can think of, and put salt in her grain, that her first meal, so that it makes her want to drink more. So I feel like today she actually looks less bloated than she did yesterday, and that we're going to see more from her based on the amount of exercise that she'll get on these hills, because let's face it, she probably didn't have very many hills in Florida.
Isn't she 9 years old? Did you say that?
I think 11. I'm not sure.
11 years old, for those who keep asking.
Yeah.
But she's a beautiful horse, and seems to be very well mannered and just so wonderfully behaved. But the owner was just overjoyed when Jamie sent her some pictures of Prim running across the pasture, grazing on some of the grass, and just hanging out with her friends. The owner was just overjoyed, and that tells you a lot about the owner. Whenever they realize that they're unable, for whatever reason, in this case it was Mother Nature who dealt her a devastating blow, and she had to turn around and do something and give up something that she loved. But she likes the channel, she loves you, and she wanted you to have that horse, and she wants to watch that horse in videos. So it's kind of like she's not going to ever have to say goodbye right, when she knows that she'll see that horse every chance you get it, that you make a video out there with them. So that's going to work out wonderful.
Lester said there's a lot of people who contact us about animals all the time. And sometimes the timing is right and sometimes it's not. And we can't take every animal that people offer or want us to. Number one, we have to think about herd dynamics, and we have to think about our capabilities and the condition of the animal, because I hate to say this, there are a lot of times
you only get offered animals that are on death's doorstep. And
that's hard. That's really hard. And what that is sometimes is they can't.
Yeah, they want to send their animal off somewhere else to die. Yeah. Let it die on your watch, not on mine.
But. And it's not that we can't say yes to some of that, and I don't empathize the circumstances and things like that. But I also have to think, if that animal is sick and contagious, what will it do to our herd, and like those types of things. So we have to make choices. And this one, like I said, we had some things to work out first, and to see if it was possible, and to really think through, and it worked out, and she made it here, and she had a really long journey to get here, and is assimilating very well.
Yeah. And so as far as riding her, we're not going to rush to anything like that. Let her have some time to adjust, assimilate, like Jamie said, and then we'll have to figure out if we even have a saddle that will fit her, because she has a pretty broad backside, y'all. She has a nice broad.
She's got a big booty, Judy.
Yeah. And so we'll have to figure out if we have the right saddle that would fit her, and then find out if she does a bit or a hack or however she needs a bridle. So we have we got a very long ways. The good thing about it is she's a big horse, so there's no worries of her not being able to carry you or me.
Yeah, yeah.
So
her owner's one request was, if she goes in that pond, that she wants to be able to see a video clip of her. So I'm hoping that it doesn't get too cool too fast, but
she'd already walked down and drank from the pond.
Yeah.
But so just know that when these kind of things happen, and it's all happened yesterday, even though it's been in the works for several days, but videos, you don't just release videos immediately, and you want to build up and talk about things. And then we do a few pictures and stuff, but there will be videos coming out all on Jamie's channel for the first couple of days. That's her content. And then I'll jump in there at some point and have a little fun with it as well. But we're not going to get on her back anytime soon, so not to worry about that. Have you said everything you want to say about this pretty little girl?
I know that if she's been through 2 hurricanes recently and has a story long before these 2 hurricanes, I am eager to get to know her and to know, just like all of our animals that come, know what makes them, what makes them happy, and just get to know her personality and things like that. Yeah. And I promise to bring you along for those things. And I'm fully confident that she is a survivor. She has just things about her. And my big hope is that that she fits in very well, very quickly, and that everybody's at peace and can just enjoy the rain that is making the grass grow right now, and just, have a happy, harmonious pasture.
Does anyone remember the little raccoon's name? You know about Peanut the squirrel?
I heard about Peanut the squirrel.
This was one of the saddest things going on as far as animal stories go. And I don't really watch a lot of the news. Now, I will try to catch up at night before bed, see what's going on in the world. But I do follow several animal stories. And Fred, is that saying Fred? Fred. And so it just broke my heart to find out that I think you don't really know what you can believe and what you can't believe with the news. But I do think that social media news is usually more accurate than mainstream media. If that makes any sense to y'all, it seems weird, but I think that what you see on social media news is a lot of times more accurate than what you see on mainstream media news. Did that come out right? Yeah. And it's because I think that mainstream media news always has someone that owns that company, whereas social media doesn't. I mean, hey, this is my Peanut, this is my little raccoon, or my squirrel. But this fella said that they had 4 agencies, along with the judge who signed off on raiding his home. You know about this. Confiscated that little squirrel that is a very popular on social media, along with, I think, Fred the raccoon, and within no time had them euthanized. They said that there were more people raided his home than what raided P. Diddy's place. Now, isn't there something weird about that? If this all happened in the state of New York, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can help me out.
That's awful.
If you know more than I do, because I've only seen one thing. That's right, Lester, someone says. It was in the state of New York. I don't know what city, and I don't know what or why or how, but they supposedly detained this fella and his wife for like over 5 hours. They also have horses that they could not feed. And that resonated with me because we know how angry our horses get when they get hungry. And
5 minutes late and
you get off schedule.
You're going to pay for it.
And then to know that they detained them for that.
And a raccoon.
Listen, that's what I'm saying. There has to be something that we have not heard about yet that has to continue to come out. And so I don't know all the details, but I see people talking about it. So I thought, you know what, we'll go ahead and just talk about it, even though we don't know exactly all the details. But the fella, I think that it's a TikTok sensation more than Facebook and YouTube. But that little Peanut was something else, had lots of videos, over 1 million views. So I think
it's nuts that it's like illegal. And we went through this with the Elvira
People are telling me the name of the city, but it's going by so fast.
Pine City, I think.
Okay. But it is New York, though, right? I got that part right.
I just think it's funny that it's illegal. They weren't disrupting anyone's life. They weren't hurting anybody else. They weren't asking the government for money to be able to pay for that. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. In the same way, it didn't make sense when we could not help Elvira.
Think about that for a minute. So it could have been busybodies. There are people in life that are just nothing but busybodies. They just always want to get up in everyone's business, right? So whenever that fella, the tree cutter, his name was Juan, when Mr. Juan messaged us and said that while they were working out in the woods, they run across a baby deer that obviously was very dehydrated. It had lost its mom, maybe to a hunter or to whatever, but there was no mom. And we know that because there was a whole bunch of poop stuck to the baby. It was calling out for help. And if you guys know much about animals in nature, when a mom lays that baby down, they don't move until mom comes back to get them. And so that baby laid there so long that it pooped itself several times and finally just began to scream for help.
Well, and its ears were folded
Its
over.
ears were folded over, which shows dehydration, right? So Mr. Ventura would have never done this if you run across anything else, but he knew it was in a bad shape. He knew that we did animal rescues. So he contacts us, and all we did was brought the baby in and began to nurse it back to health. And Jamie did a wonderful job at teaching that baby how to drink from the bottle. We made so many videos about it. We were not keeping any secrets, but there were some people that just could not stand the fact that you take a white-tailed deer and you take it and you're not, and I guess there's rules for rehabilitation and all of these things.
We weren't trying to breed or do none of those things. I just wanted to just help her live. And oh my God, we both almost got arrested. It was awful. It was awful.
Well, they sent the law come down on us, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. With all of the crime that we see,
we're
all over the place,
people getting murdered across the street from us right now, and
you got all I don't even want to talk about all the crime that happens and even the animal crimes, the crimes against animals, and they're going to come to our sanctuary and not raid us, but they did raid in a way. A couple of game wardens come up when we were not even home and made his way around our property trying to find this deer. Yeah. It was horrible. And so I come home and find out. So I called the county judge and said, hey, we ain't keeping no secrets. I called the game warden when we got this little deer. And the game warden told me, hey, I don't need to know about it. And but people, I don't mean you all, but people could not let it go. And they kept pushing and pushing and pushing to where at some point the game warden's like, fine, we'll go get the deer. We'll go get the darn deer. And so they come and got the deer, but it was crazy. But that probably was kind of the same thing. There must have been somebody who found that TikTok who's like, you can't have a raccoon in the city. You can't have a squirrel in your home or whatever, and begin to call and call and call and became so persistent. And at some point, you had 4 agencies signed off on that. But it is what it is. I don't know, but I feel horrible for those people. It's
so sad, and it's like they weren't hurting anyone. I guess I believe in the mentality of live and let live, and you're not disrupting society or.
If people would take the same time to call about children who are being abused, I mean, think about that for a minute. Elderly who are being abused. Take as much time to call about your vets who are homeless or homeless in general, and talk about real problems and focus your energy on real situations that need to be addressed. Use that same energy for something that's going to help society instead of being mean about a guy who has a squirrel living in his apartment or his home or wherever.
Super sad.
Anywho, I don't know, but I saw the comments. I know you got it's on your mind as well. And I just feel horrible.
I get that vibe though too. I'll be honest with you. The post about us changing pastures with Rita and the post about Prim coming have struck people in a way that are triggering, I guess, somehow. I don't know why that's the trigger of meanness to come out, but I had a little bit of a banning session this afternoon because I'm not in a space to be berated for what goes on in our life, to be criticized and called out, and then to have the people that are here for enjoyment to be criticized and attacked in that way too. So,
so
we're a few
ultimately,
less today.
I've always said this. I don't mind if someone shares an opinion, but you have to have enough couth. I don't know if that's the right word, enough tact to know how to share your opinion without being mean or hateful or hurtful or just downright evil to us or to each other. And so we don't like to ban people, y'all. We don't like that. But at the same time, we're not going to allow arguing on the page. And so share an opinion by all means, but just find a way to say it tactfully and respectfully.
Well, that's what I was just gosh, it was like a character attacking thing of really how obviously I'm so lacking in knowledge, but I have no business having any animal, specifically horses, and just goes on the path of we have no idea what we're doing, and our animals and our children deserve better, and just all these things. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't really have time for that in my life or room for it, and you don't either. So
I just feel bad because there's a lot of people who enjoy reading comments. And we try to encourage comments. We enjoy comments. I love to read. But at the same time, comments can also be a happy place, but there's folks who can make them a very unhappy place. And then secondly, I think though that more so than any other animal, I think that with horses, there comes a whole lot of different opinions. And I bet you if you talk to, let's just say 100 horse people, there'll be 100 different things of what you're doing wrong, what you should do, how. And so I don't think that horse people even can come to a consensus on everything. But here's what I will say, and I will defend this to the death. God forbid, my death. But you don't turn away an animal if you can give it food, feed it. If you can offer it love, if you can give it shelter from the elements, if you can give it vet care if it needs vet care, take care of its inner and its outer injuries and wounds and healing. And if you do all of those things, to me, this is just my opinion, not a horse person, but my opinion as an animal caretaker, then you do what you can for the animal, especially if it's like a Rita who was tied to your fence or your gate, or a Prim who was living in a tiny, and I mean a tiny yard, with no pasture to graze, and folks who could not afford her, or their situation didn't allow them to have her. And so you don't turn those down if you or have a way to offer, if that makes any sense to you. I hope it does to you all. So now, does that mean that we're not like a stable where we're going to offer training and have kids come over and ride on their backs? And, we both dream of one day being able to take a horse ride here and there, but that's not something that we're not going out looking for $1,000 horses so we can ride. That's not what we do. We rescue, or we will offer or take in a surrender. I hope that you agree. There's people who are saying they agree with me, but I can also see comments that are not agreeing.
Well, some of it is they don't understand why pull Rita out if you're going to put a new one in. But herd dynamics, if you have ever been a part of, I'll say, a pack of dogs, because we had to do very similar things with our dogs and horses, even our pigs. You have to have the right mix of things to work, and it's just like relationships and families. Not everybody in the family can live in the same house and love each other and feel happy every single day. And when you're putting animals together, you have to have mostly peace, and safety is before peace is safety. And I said in another video that's not ready to be published yet, but Rita is like a middle school kid who is just craving attention, has wild hormones, is growing like a weed, and literally is like trying to find her place in this world. And a lot of dogs, like this is the time where people get rid of dogs and go back to having a new puppy because they are just wild and out of control, and now they're big and they're jumping and they have to get past that phase. So Rita has to get past this phase, which I fully believe that she will, and we know she will, but we have to be able to provide her the right environment to do so. And believe it or not, removing Rita from the competition of like fighting to be first and needing to be first has been dynamically changing for her.
And I taught school for all of those years, and this is going to sound horrible, but there were some times when certain students were absent because they were sick, and you hate that a kid is sick, but really you're like, yes, yes, thank you, God. And not just the teacher, but even the other students, because on those days you actually get things accomplished, you get things done. And so we love Rita, but she's difficult to love. And so here's what I know, though. Maybe Rita does need professional help and all this kind of stuff, okay? But here's what she's getting right now. She's getting fed twice a day. She's getting a pasture. She has friends. She has, well, she's loved, obviously. If she needs something, all of her needs are being met. And we care for her and we love her. And it's not our priority to send her off the way many folks are demanding. That's not our priority. We have other priorities. And like I said, we manage our home and we let you manage yours. We would never jump in and demand that you do things the way we would have them done.
So, I will say something that's really cute though. So it was an interesting twist to put Rita with Dinky, because obviously he can like walk underneath her because he's so little compared to her. But his like courage and demeanor makes him a big donkey as well. But we also knew that with Daryl is not a people donkey. He is not someone who is craving attention, wants to be right up there. Rita, I actually believe Rita probably was taken from her mom too soon, because Rita's attachment to people is dynamically different than any of our other horses or donkeys.
Well, you know what Rita reminds me of, if you can equate Rita to a dog. So let's take Christmas, for example. Christmas is a bundle of energy. And so when I wake up in the morning, she's not seeing me awake. And when she sees that I'm awake, she comes a running and she jumps and jumps and jumps and jumps and jumps. I would never scold her for that. Now, maybe you would. Don't think that I'm not worried about her tripping me or me falling over her. I am. But I love her for who she is. That's what she brings to us in our life. And so when Rita comes a running, now all of a sudden you're taking something that's not a little 50-pound dog, but now you're taking a 600-700-pound animal that also, hey, there's mama. Hey, mama. Hey, mama. Go, mama. Go, mama. Go, mama. Go, mama. And Rita doesn't understand that she has to have boundaries. Yeah. And so what we've learned to do is, if we go into pasture, Jamie has to be she puts her head on a swivel and she's always watching for Rita, because Rita doesn't know her boundaries the way other horses seem to. So that will all come with time. But we're just going to, for now,
we're taking it one day at a time, and we're literally watching everything as it unfolds. And I have to tell you that the dynamic change with Rita is that putting her with Dinky was the smartest move, because Dinky is not rushing to fight Rita for the first position. Dinky is 100% okay with like coming up later, because that is Dinky's style. So Rita has no one to compete with, and Rita is at peace and actually slowing her roll, and we're able to walk in the pasture and we're able to do things with Rita, because Rita's not mean. She doesn't have a mean spirit and like a attack. And also,
I'm going to say this, and here's the thing. I'm not going to not say what I'm about to say because I'm scared of the horse people. I'm not scared of the horse people. But what I'm saying is, Rita in the other pasture had to compete for everything.
Yes.
But right now with Daryl, she doesn't compete for anything, because like you said, Dinky Daryl is completely okay with not being first in line for the water fountain, or not being first in line for recess, or not being first in line to go to lunch. Yeah. Going back to my school analogies. But Rita wants to be first, and Daryl's like, cool, I'll just follow you wherever you go because I love you. And so that's what he's like, a little love-struck puppy who just follows her everywhere. His little tail just a wagging, just watching her from a distance. And there's no competition for her. She's great with the goats, with the pigs. She doesn't bother the big birds. Well, she kind of does. When it's feed time, she wants her food and their food. So that's why we move the big birds inside.
But I will say this, being able to work on that safe space and that respect of boundaries with Rita is a million times easier when it's just Rita, because Rita's also focused on us, which I'll be the first to admit, I did not realize that was part of the issue in the horse pasture until we made this move. So whenever we pulled Rita out and I could communicate with her, and she's not also worried about what Storm's doing or what Voodoo or Bucky's is doing, or if the donkeys are getting too close to where she was going to go eat or that type of thing. Rita is focused on me. So my communication is directly with her, which is dynamically different and much more effective. What are you doing?
I'm about sick and tired of people saying I'm not letting you talk.
No, I'm talking my head off. You actually sat in silence for a long time tonight.
We go back and forth. That's what we do. And anyway, don't worry about me. Go ahead.
No, it is.
So we're going to eventually.
Rita's not lonely. So hold on a second. I want to address that.
Yeah.
So horses function in a way, they function in a way, can they see and hear other horses? And I am the first one to admit that I thought, even when Voodoo was at A&M, that he would be so lonely because he spent so much time in a stall. And both Courtney and all of the vets there and every horse person that we talked to said he's not lonely. He has a horse to look at across the stall there. Horses don't feel that way. They just want to be in the presence of. They don't need to be right there touching. They don't need to be right there doing. They need to be able to see. So they're right across the driveway and they're doing the same things up and down. They're just like not having to compete. It's why you see a lot of horse places have stalls with these like long they're called turnout stalls. They're called turnout stalls. So they have their own outside pasture that is fenced off from everybody else, because a lot of people do not actually allow to herd dynamics. For instance, I'm going to use the Katie Van Slyke because she's the horsiest person I know. They have like tiny little paddocks that they turn out and take their horses out of the stalls for the most part. They don't just freely graze in a giant pasture like our horses do. So the way that we have it here is perfectly acceptable, and you'll see that driving all around here. But like real horse people is what I'll call it, they keep their horses separated all the time, and it's very normal. So what we've done is take a page from that book, and it's worked.
And that's another thing too. We don't keep our horses stalled, and that's why they also get dirty, because horses they like to roll. I remember when we took Voodoo to A&M and they bathed him, and how many people thought they'd never seen him look so good. I'm like, wait a minute. He looks so clean. You mean clean, not good. He looks so clean.
And he was the cleanest ever. He didn't have a speck of dirt on him.
Not a speck, because he was stuck in a stall for almost 24 hours a day, unless we would go walk him out and about. And so, so whenever a horse is able to free graze the way ours do, which is the way we're going to keep it, we're not going to stall our horses to accommodate folks. We're going to let our horses graze. And in that grazing, they're going to walk to the pond. Some of them will, and they're going to roll around in the sand, and they're going to do all the things. And I think they're loving life.
I will say this. So there are, and I'll end with this because I see we're at our hour. There are all spectrums of horse people and the way that people care for horses. There are horses that are just like our neighbors' horses who somehow manage to live basically on their own, who have never been handled or touched and are so wild that they're terrified of human beings. Then there's people that I think are like us, who enjoy horses, enjoy grooming them and their presence and being able to participate in their care, but don't have like a plan to utilize those horses for the things that is really the next layer. So you have rodeo people who do like roping and barrel racing, and then there's also like people,
working horses. Yeah,
working horses. And then you have other people who like do show horses like Katie Van Slyke does. There's like all spectrums, right? And you have like, it doesn't matter. We just have
horses.
I love horses, okay? And I love, this is a very selfish thing. I love being in the presence of horses. And that is what our horses are for. And that is what they're doing.
Yeah. So we absolutely don't mind suggestions and comments, but we're not going to really change a whole lot if we feel like what's working for us, meaning all of these animals, is working for us. Now, I know
what's that?
You guys can say if you want to. Look at you, Lester. You can't stick true to anything. We had a no couch rule, and there goes baby's on the couch.
There's a cover on it.
We do have a cover on the couch, but I can't stick to hardly anything. We have Hank and Aries and Mabel that jump on counters. But listen, like my nanny said, y'all remember my nanny, who always reminded us, in my kitchen, you eat my cooking. I don't like to say that because it sounds like I don't care what you say, but I do care what you say. But ultimately, when all is said and done, this is our kitchen. And this is our cooking, friends. And if it's not your cup of tea, if it's not your thing, if it's not your style, or if it, I'm sorry, but there's other channels that probably do things the same way you would. But we're not going to change a whole lot.
We live our lives to live our life and we make videos to share that. And we're really blessed that y'all choose this shit show to watch. But at the same time, like not everything is for everyone. And we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Our dogs are doing something weird, aren't they?
Yeah. I was just, it's cute what Mr. Hank's doing. Everyone's wondering, where is Mr. Hank? I'll show you. But Jamie has a skirt on, so we gotta be careful. There he is. He's right there by Mama.
Hank was literally like pawing me.
Can you pull his chair back a little bit, or people want to see him? Hank, Mr. Hank, he's never too far from us. He comes to the bath when we're in the tub. He comes to the bed. He comes to the couch. And then he's
mostly on the counter, though.
Here's what Hank does that I just don't understand. He takes his tail and he will purposely do that right in your face. Pop, pop, pop. And I don't really mind a whole lot because it's cute. But when I start loving him, he likes to play mean cat. And also he'll, for no apparent reason, just turn around, grab me, and bite as hard as he can. Now, he's never broken the skin, but it scares me. It scares me like he's going to break the skin. He does do that. Don't say that he doesn't.
He does, but it doesn't only scare me whenever he does it. But Lester does freak out and yell, and it's a mess.
I don't know, knock you off this couch, boy. But no, he has his little quirks about him, and we love him. We wouldn't trade him for anything. Here comes Christmas at my feet saying, are you talking about me and that couch over there and how much I'm full of energy? She is full of energy. But, you know, animals are so much like your children or like your partners, and they have a personality. And you learn to love each and every one of them for what they bring to the table. And some are a little bit, more difficult than others, but you love them nonetheless, and you learn to work with them. And you just hope that they're living their best life as well. And I think that all of our babies are doing pretty darn good. If you ask them, I think they would agree that they're pretty happy.
I would agree.
So, friends, we've already got to our hour. And so if you have any direct questions, you want to answer a few questions,
yeah, sure.
We'll be happy to answer a couple of questions now. At this point, you might want to go ahead and put those questions in all caps so we can read them. Cynthia says, please hit that like button. Yeah, we love that. Thank you so much.
Christmas, you're whacking me so hard with your tail.
That's Chrissy with her tail. That's whacking the wall. How's Lex? Lex is doing great. He still has his broken arm as well.
He has another week, he said, week and a day or something like that of cast, and then we find out what's next.
Yeah, he can't wait. He wants to run track and do cross country. Oh, Lord. I don't know. I don't get that for anything. But he wants to run. He wants to run.
I hate it more than anything. And the only way that I'm running is if something is chasing me.
I will say this. Lex has another girlfriend. That makes 2 girlfriends in this very short school year. And I told his mom, I said, what have you done? What have you created in that kid? What have you done to him? But no, everyone knows that a couple of weeks back, I talked about Lex having his first breakup. And we had to have that talk about, hey, breakups happen and, all the things. And now if lo and behold, he doesn't have him a new girlfriend, he's just bragging about his new girlfriend. And then last night we're playing some games. We're here in the house. We had the TV behind us. We're playing some games. Jamie, me, Connor, and Lex. And I'll tell you what, I've never seen Lex so unfocused. He was here the whole time. And he's on that phone, y'all. And he was just texting, and that girl and him were going back and forth and back and forth. And it worries you because this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of many years of the dating stuff with him. Oh, I think that Xander and Ellie are well past that. Thank you, God. But now it's Lex's turn.
Yeah.
And he's going to be something. I tell you what, but.
A lot of people want to know the answer to your question of the day about Prim.
Oh, can we talk about that? We don't have a video to show you. You're never going to believe this. You're never going to believe this. But I did ask a question of the day. I says, of some of the animals, some of the babies that Prim has been introduced to, who all do you think is being the most hospitable, the most welcoming, the most all of those kind of things? And I gave you some choices: Voodoo, Bucky's, I almost said Dixie, Storm. And then I was Donkey Dan, like as they just throw him out there. And believe it or not, everyone's saying it right now. I think it's Dan. guys, Donkey Dan, we saw a whole new side to him. It's kind of like he recognized her as being a good looker. I do think that Donkey Dan's like, hey, she's pretty cute. And I do think that I'm a Gene and they're like, go talk to her, Dan, go talk to her. Because they're like sitting there watching. And Dan's like trying to build up the courage. Dan's like standing there, his little fat belly, and he's looking over there from a distance. And
don't forget that Dan loved Rita like that whenever she came to. He was like, woo, hey, long legs, young.
So Dan finally walks over. Now, Jamie and I are sitting there having our coffee. We're not videoing. We put our phones down, y'all. We sometimes put our phones down.
Sometimes.
And we're having our coffee and we're watching Dan walk over and we're joking about it, how the girls are putting him up to it. They're daring him to go talk to her, you know. Dan walks over and he makes her acquaintance. And next thing you know, Dan is leading her and he walks all the way from the pond over to the loafing shed. And Dan gets at the door and he looks in, looks at her, and then Dan walks through the loafing shed.
Literally.
Then she, like, real cautious, she looks in. Then she walks in, and then Dan walks back out.
Dan literally showed her around today, and that is no joke. It was
literally
the sweetest.
It's the same way if you go somewhere and someone's going to show you around the house or show you around their property or whatever. Dan showed her around, just he and she, and the other girls watched from a distance. You know, the other girls being Imogene and Beverly. Of course, Ivy's not a donkey; she's a pony.
Yeah.
So she's off with the horses.
She was very busy with the rest of the horses, but
she has no time for that.
It was a moment that I wish we would have captured because no one will ever believe it.
No one, you're not going to believe us, and that's okay. But we saw
it together, and I was like, he's going to show her around. He's gonna show her how to use that loafing shed. And he did, and that's coming from Donkey Dan, who's terrified to go inside anywhere.
Donkey Dan does not go inside structures very much. He walked all the way through and let her walk through. Then he shows her where the barn's at and show her where all the stalls are at. Show her where the hay is. And he's like showing her around.
It was the most sweet and endearing moment. And then when he goes in and comes out, and then she goes in, and he turns around and looks in, and he's like,
make sure you're gonna come on. I got more to show you.
Come on, this is not all we got. Like, let's go show you around.
And you know what's crazy is he never said a word.
No.
He never neighed or he-hawed or whatever you want to call it.
Or ran or was
never.
Like, he was like this gentle leader, and she just followed him along. Like, it was the most sweet thing that happened today.
I'll tell you this, and I promise we'll let you go. We're not trying to hold on to you, but there's things that we've witnessed that we don't have on video that people would never believe. We could say this, and I will tell this story for a very long time. But it's just one of those moments that animals just show you how human they are sometimes, y'all. Or, you know, I don't know a better way to put it. But Donkey Dan really did something today that just Jamie and I were like, did we just watch that happen? And we did. And now this is really cute, but also kind of sad. But I think that there's a little bit of uncertainty of who's who and where everyone belongs. So as of right now, it's really sweet, but Prim is hanging out with Dan and the other ladies, meaning Imogene and Beverly. Yeah. And that's like her group. So there's kind of like two divisions over in the pastures. There's, of course, Storm and
there's some
pony,
video of the integration and things like that that'll come out on Tuesday. But a lot of this it just kept happening. Like, when I say we sat and watched for hours today, we sat and watched for hours. And of course, I've been in and out of that pasture 1,000 times. I'm going to go back out here in a bit. But
Dan's it was really neat to watch.
That was the most powerful moment, I think, of. And the other moment, which will be on the video tomorrow, is who actually greeted her first. Really special.
I will not talk about that. I would like to, but I won't. Friends, don't forget that Tuesday is election day. Make sure you guys go vote. And we need to find out, will you be doing a timeout Tuesday on election night?
I just realized that that's that night.
That is that night. So that is really something you have to think about and let people know. Do you want to think about it or let them know now?
I'll think about it. It depends on, that's hard to take away from that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll think more about that. And yeah, we already voted as well. So yeah, if you've already voted, that's wonderful. But if you have not, make sure you guys go vote. That's the way to do your duty. Do your duty. It's a privilege that we have here. So make sure that you go vote. We don't care who you vote for. We don't care who you vote for. But I do want you to go vote for somebody. Okay. Please do. Friends, we love you so very much. We are so, so, so very blessed to have you. And thank you for putting up with us and our nonsense and all the things.
Yes, absolutely. We're so grateful you give us the greatest gift of all, which is your time and allowing us into your homes and phones. And as Lester said, putting up with us as well. I'm excited for y'all to meet Prim this week and get to know her and to watch things unfold here. And I know there's a lot more to come in the healing journey of our animals and our Lex. So we look forward to bringing you all of those videos, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Have a great night, y'all.
Thank you, friends. And we will end this video the same way we started. A really wonderful video story. Beautiful.